Of survival for the Dutch. If it weren't for the 22,000 kilometers of dikes, a large part of this land would not even exist. But increasingly the country's defense against the elements has to be strengthened against rising sea levels and storms.
The Netherlands is one of the few places on Earth where millions live below sea level. On paper, much of the country should be underwater, yet it remains one of the safest and most prosperous nations in the world. How is that possible? Behind this achievement lies centuries of innovation, determination, and engineering brilliance. From towering dikes and vast polders to sophisticated flood barriers and water management systems, the Dutch have mastered the challenge of living alongside the sea instead of being defeated by it. The low-lying land challenge. The Netherlands is a nation defined by water. Roughly a third of its land sits below sea level, and much of the rest is barely above it. This geographic reality means water is both a vital resource and a constant threat. The country faces the persistent danger of flooding from the North Sea, rivers, and heavy rainfall. Managing this delicate balance is not just about preventing disasters. It has shaped the very identity of the Dutch people. Living below sea level is far from accidental. The land itself was formed over thousands of years through the gradual accumulation of sediment along river deltas and the sea. These lowlands, combined with rising sea levels and the natural sinking of land, create a precarious situation. Without protective barriers, large parts of the country would quickly be submerged each time storms or high tides hit. This is why the Netherlands gained its reputation as a land constantly battling the water. What makes this challenge more pressing today is climate change, causing sea levels to rise and storms to intensify. Yet even without these modern pressures, the Dutch have always faced a relentless aquatic foe. Floods have shaped their history, sometimes with tragic consequences. The catastrophic flood of 1953, for example, devastated parts of the Southwest and highlighted just how vulnerable the country remained despite centuries of protective efforts. Dutch society has responded by developing one of the world's most sophisticated networks of water defenses. From dikes and levees to canals and pumping stations, every piece plays a role in holding the sea at bay. The country's very survival depends on maintaining and improving these defenses, which must work not only against natural tides, but also against human-induced challenges like land subsidence. The constant threat transforms water into an ever-present reality in the daily lives of millions. But the struggle isn't only against the sea. The major rivers, the Rhine, Meuse, and Scheldt, move through the country, each one bringing its own flood risks. Heavy rains upstream can make these rivers swell, and then towns, plus farmland far from the coast, are threatened. Handling these inland waters takes tricky cooperation and engineering, aimed at controlling the flow and stopping any breach from happening. This low-lying geography has made the Dutch think about water in a way that few other cultures actually do. They don't see it only as a hazard, but also as a partner in shaping their land. Almost half of the country is reclaimed land called polders, places once underwater and later remade into dry, usable ground. That back and forth between what people do and what nature keeps doing shows a kind of inventiveness and a stubborn resolve that keeps the Netherlands dry year after year. Still, even with every effort, holding back water feels like a non-stop sprint. Natural pressures and shifting conditions mean the defenses have to be checked constantly, repaired, and then improved. Because the landscape is so low, setbacks can turn into disasters fast, which makes it a vigilance thing at a national scale. If defenses fail, the cost is steep, not just financially, but also for lives and for cultural heritage that cannot be replaced. So, the low-lying land challenge isn't only geography. It's really a continuing promise, almost like a long job that never finishes. It holds the tension between nature's force and human innovation at the same time. When you understand that, it sets you up to explore how this battle started long ago. In the earliest days of Dutch history, the historical foundations of flood control reveal how centuries of labor and learning shaped today's incredible water management systems. Historical origins of flood control. The Dutch relationship with water is ancient, stretching back more than 1,000 years to when the first communities began settling along rivers and coastlines. Early inhabitants quickly realized the need to protect their homes from flooding. They constructed primitive dikes using earth, clay, and wooden stakes, creating the first line of defense against the sea. These early efforts were crucial in establishing permanent settlements in an otherwise hostile landscape. Over centuries, these flood protection methods became more sophisticated. Villages formed around the careful management of water, and a system of canals and drainage ditches was developed to control excess water from rain and tides. The practice of reclaiming land from marshes and shallow seas by building dikes and pumping water out laid the groundwork for expanding usable territory. This marked the beginning of the Dutch mastery over their watery environment. Medieval records show how communities organized themselves to build and maintain dikes, recognizing that collective labor was essential for survival. These efforts led to local water boards, known as waterschappen, which formalized responsibility for flood control. The waterschappen are among the oldest democratic institutions still functioning in the world, emphasizing community cooperation in the face of constant threat. Some of the most dramatic floods in history really did spark invention and make coordination a lot tighter. The St. Elizabeth flood of 1421, for example, submerged thousands of hectares, and it turned farmland into open lakes and such. After that, people saw, pretty clearly, how much the region needed stronger and better planned defenses. So Dutch engineers started to try new materials, plus new layouts, to see what could actually hold. They found ways to build dikes robust enough not only to endure water itself, but also to stand up to storm surges and those long-lasting pressures that just keep coming. Then later, during the Renaissance and the Enlightenment, there was a new kind of engineering expertise that took over. With science and mathematics pushing forward, Dutch engineers started using calculations more directly for dike design and for managing water flow. In a sense, it became a shift from reactive to proactive strategies, meaning they tried to foresee floods rather than just respond after. During this time, some of the world's first professional waterworks engineers appeared and were recognized. By the 17th century, during the Dutch Golden Age, there were huge land reclamation projects, that changed swamps and nearby coastal stretches into farmland that could actually be used. This push was mostly powered by better know-how in hydraulic engineering, plus a clear economic reason to increase arable ground for farming and for trade. In a sense, the Netherlands managed to turn water from an enemy into a tool, more or less, by using these large and difficult works. Historic floods kept showing up as a kind of reminder that even the best protection has limits, and nothing is fully foolproof. Still, the continued upgrading of dikes, sluices, and pumping technologies made the whole system more sturdy. Each major disaster turned into a harsh lesson, and from that, they deepened specialized knowledge, which was later, gradually, shared and exported far beyond their borders. Over the course of centuries, controlling floods became a national priority, something that couldn't be separated from the survival of the country. And really, these beginnings set the base for the impressive engineering advances that came next, putting the Netherlands at the leading edge of innovation in water management. Dutch expertise in water engineering transformed centuries of struggle into a system of inventions that control and defy the sea with precision. Dutch water engineering innovations. The Dutch have long been pioneers in water engineering, creating systems that push back the sea and keep the land dry. One of the most significant innovations is the polder, reclaimed land surrounded by dikes and managed with a network of canals and pumps that regulate water levels. Polders are the building blocks of the Netherlands' habitable landscape, turning swamps and shallow lakes into fertile fields and towns. Central to maintaining polders is an array of pumping stations, historically powered by windmills. These iconic windmills are more than cultural symbols. They were vital machines lifting water out of low-lying areas and into rivers or reservoirs. Modern pumping stations now use electricity and sophisticated motors, but serve the same purpose: precise control of water to prevent flooding and allow agriculture and settlement. Another engineering marvel is the system of sluices and locks that manages the flow of water between freshwater and saltwater bodies. These structures prevent seawater from inundating rivers and protect freshwater supplies while allowing for shipping and navigation. The Dutch have perfected these mechanisms to balance competing needs in a landscape. Storm surge barriers are a more recent innovation designed to protect against extreme weather events. The Oosterschelde barrier, part of the large Delta Works project, is one of the largest movable storm surge barriers in the world. It can be closed during storms to block rising sea levels while allowing normal tidal flow otherwise, safeguarding millions of residents without destroying the natural ecosystem. Additionally, the use of sand nourishment replenishes natural coastal barriers that erode over time. By artificially adding large quantities of sand to beaches and dunes, the Dutch extend the first line of defense against the sea's encroachment. This soft engineering approach combines maintenance with respect for natural processes, complementing hard infrastructure. Technological advances in sensors and computer modeling now allow for real-time monitoring of water levels and dike integrity. This integration of digital technology with physical infrastructure means potential breaches can be predicted and responses coordinated faster than ever before. Early warning systems enhance safety and preparedness. The Dutch also invest heavily in education and research in hydraulic engineering. Institutions like Deltares and specialized university programs train experts who continue to innovate and export Dutch water solutions globally. Their expertise is sought worldwide wherever flood risks loom large. Together, these inventions and innovations form a comprehensive, multi-layered defense system. It's a dynamic model that adapts to new challenges, from rising seas to more intense rainfall. Yet these engineering feats are only part of the story, a story completed by one of the most ambitious infrastructure projects in history. The Delta Works harnessed Dutch ingenuity to solve their most urgent flood threats in a monumental and lasting way. Role of the Delta Works. The Delta Works stands as one of the most ambitious and impressive flood defense systems in history, a monument to Dutch resilience against the ever-encroaching sea. Born out of necessity after the devastating North Sea flood of 1953, which slayed over 1,800 people and flooded hundreds of square kilometers, the project marked a turning point in the country's approach to water safety. It was designed to shield the southwestern provinces from future storm surges and rising waters with a network of dams, sluices, locks, dikes, and storm surge barriers. At its core, the Delta Works includes a series of massive dams that close off estuaries, effectively reducing the length of the coastline exposed to the sea's force. By controlling the flow of water from the North Sea into Dutch rivers and lakes, these structures minimize the risk of flooding during storms. This strategic alteration of the natural water system was a bold intervention, reshaping the landscape to safeguard millions of lives and billions in property. Perhaps the most famous component is the Oosterschelde storm surge barrier, a sophisticated structure with massive steel gates that can be closed during storms but remain open at other times to preserve tidal ecosystems. This engineering marvel exemplifies the Dutch commitment to balancing environmental concerns with flood protection. The barrier's ability to protect without permanently closing off water flow reflects a remarkable blend of ecological sensitivity and practical defense. Construction of the Delta Works spanned several decades, involving thousands of workers and a level of technical innovation rarely seen before. Engineers had to pioneer new building techniques to work in challenging underwater and tidal environments. Their success helped establish the Netherlands as a global leader in hydraulic engineering, with the Delta Works becoming a case study and inspiration for flood management projects worldwide. Beyond the sheer scale, the Delta Works sort of symbolizes a cultural determination to coexist with water rather than be defeated by it. It reshaped a once vulnerable region into one of the safest places in Europe, specifically against flooding. That achievement gave Dutch citizens not just protection, but also peace of mind for a still uncertain climate future. The project didn't only serve to hold back water, it also helped preserve economic steadiness, safeguarding vital infrastructure and trade routes. Areas secured by the Delta Works continue as key hubs for agriculture, industry, and commerce, which are things that matter a lot for the Dutch economy. In practice, the barriers and dams have basically secured the ground beneath modern Dutch society. Even with its success, the Delta Works isn't a static fortress. It needs continuing inspection, repair work, and periodic upgrades to answer new kinds of threats. Engineers expect higher sea levels and more extreme weather, so the system keeps getting adapted step by step to stay ahead of nature's shifting rhythm. That living style of defense shows the point that flood protection must evolve alongside environmental change, not after it. The legacy of the Delta Works keeps shaping Dutch water management thinking, ambitious, inventive, and tightly linked to the country's survival. While it has improved safety greatly, it also quietly reminds us that water is an unpredictable force, requiring constant respect and vigilance. The challenge now is how the Netherlands will face a new era of intensified climate risk, pushing the boundaries of its defenses even further. Climate change and rising risks. Climate change has added a new and more urgent chapter to the Netherlands' long battle with water. For centuries, the Dutch have lived with the sea, rivers, rain, and sinking land. But today, the challenge is becoming more unpredictable. Global temperatures are rising, ice sheets are melting, oceans are expanding, and sea levels are climbing faster than before. For a country where large areas already sit below sea level, even the small changes can create serious consequences. The danger is not only that the sea is rising. The danger is that the sea is rising against land that was carefully reclaimed, protected, and settled over many generations. Polders, farms, towns, roads, and cities all depend on dikes, dunes, pumps, canals, and storm barriers working together. If these systems are overwhelmed, the damage could be enormous. This is why climate change is not treated as a distant problem in the Netherlands. It is a present and growing threat. Scientific projections suggest that sea levels could rise by half a meter or even more than 1 meter by the end of the century, depending on global emissions. That may sound small at first, but for the Netherlands, it changes everything. Higher seas mean stronger storm surges. Stronger storm surges push more water toward the coast. During extreme weather, this added pressure can test even the most advanced flood barriers. The coastline is only one part of the problem. The Netherlands is also shaped by major rivers such as the Rhine and the Meuse. When storms and heavy rainfall increase across Europe, these rivers can swell and carry more water into Dutch territory. This creates a double threat: water from the sea pushing inward, and river water flowing down from the continent. At the same time, cities must deal with sudden heavy rain that can overwhelm drainage systems. Another big risk is land subsidence. Parts of the Netherlands are slowly sinking, mostly because of natural processes, peat soil drying, and groundwater extraction. In simple terms, the land goes down while the sea goes up, so the relative danger grows too. Then the dikes have to be lifted again, the pumps run harder, and all the upkeep gets both more costly and more urgent, without much pause. The Dutch reaction has stayed proactive. Rather than wait for something dreadful to happen, the government keeps reinforcing dikes, revising national water plans, polishing drainage systems, and putting billions into climate adaptation. One key approach is often called room for the river. It basically gives rivers more room to safely overflow in controlled zones, instead of letting floods hit neighborhoods and cities. The Netherlands is also leaning into greener fixes. Wetlands, dunes, parks, water plazas, and climate-proof districts help soak up the extra water. These concepts do not replace classic engineering, but they do add yet another layer of defense on top of the usual measures. Still, the future remains a bit uncertain. Climate change might speed up faster than expected, and some protections could require serious redesigns. The Netherlands has made it so far by treating water like a serious partner, by studying it and adapting before it's too late. Now the hardest task is staying ahead of a planet that keeps shifting quickly. Facing this escalating threat reshapes everything, from national policies down to how cities themselves are designed to coexist with rising waters. Urban planning below sea level. Living below sea level means that Dutch cities face unique challenges when it comes to urban planning. The risk of flooding requires that infrastructure, from homes to roads and public transport, be designed with water management deeply integrated. Rather than trying to fight water at every turn, many Dutch towns embrace the presence of water as part of their environment, creating resilient systems that can absorb and redirect excess rainfall. Amsterdam, Rotterdam, and other Dutch cities have developed networks of canals and waterways that serve multiple functions. These canals not only add beauty and historical character, but also function as drainage systems that help mitigate flood risk. Streets and buildings are often constructed with elevated foundations, and flood barriers are built into urban layouts to protect against unexpected surges. Green spaces play an essential role in urban design as natural water absorbers. Parks, wetlands, and green roofs are increasingly incorporated to reduce water runoff and prevent sewer overflow during heavy rains. This sustainable approach reduces the burden on pumping stations and improves the quality of life. combining safety with ecological benefits. The Dutch also use water plazas, or multifunctional spaces that collect water during storms, then transform into recreational areas when dry. These innovative designs recognize that flooding cannot be completely eliminated, so cities adapt to manage water safely without disrupting daily life. This acceptance and preparation are key to urban resilience. Underground infrastructure in these low-lying cities is engineered to handle water pressure and to stop leakage in that very practical way people expect. Sewer lines are usually set apart from stormwater channels too, so the chance that extreme rain will overwhelm treatment plants is smaller and more manageable. Smart monitoring systems also help. They alert authorities early if something looks off, so the response can be fast and damage can be avoided. Even housing design sort of follows the same logic, with some neighborhoods built on stilts or using floating foundations. These choices bring safety, but they also aim not to slay style or comfort, which is a careful balance. It's like the whole approach says, work with the water, instead of fight the water, so planners can keep Dutch cities thriving where other places might simply give up and retreat. Looking ahead, there are climate-adaptive neighborhoods being tested regularly with flood scenarios. In these places, modular infrastructure gets trialed along with communal water storage, so resilience is shared and not only individual. Community involvement is high as well. Residents are coached on flood readiness and on water saving, almost as if it's a normal daily routine, not just a crisis plan. Still, even with all that, urban expansion and population growth keep pressuring Dutch water management capacity. Cities have to balance new development with strict safety regulations because any new build cannot raise flood risk. So continual innovation and steady investment matter, and they have to keep pace with shifting environmental challenges. In the end, these urban solutions show how water sits at the center of Dutch life, not like a background detail, but like a living factor that helps shape where and how people live. Behind this complex urban matrix lies an equally intricate system of institutions that govern and coordinate these critical water safety efforts. Water management governance. Keeping the Netherlands safe from water is not just an engineering challenge. It is also a matter of organization, discipline, and shared responsibility. In a country where millions of people live below sea level, one weak link can put entire communities at risk. That is why the Dutch built not only dikes, dams, pumps, and storm barriers, but also one of the most organized water management systems in the world. At the heart of this system are the waterschappen, or water boards. These institutions date back to the Middle Ages, making them among the oldest democratic bodies still active today. Their job is simple but vital: manage water in specific regions. They maintain dikes, operate pumping stations, monitor canals, protect water quality, and make sure flood defenses remain strong. What makes them unique is their independence. Water boards can collect their own taxes, giving them the money needed to act quickly and maintain defenses without waiting for national politics to move. But water safety is not handled by water boards alone. At the national level, the Ministry of Infrastructure and Water Management creates the larger strategy. It sets policy, directs funding, and oversees major projects such as the Delta Works and National Climate Adaptation Plans. This ministry works with provinces, municipalities, and regional water boards to make sure everyone follows the same long-term vision. Cities also carry a major responsibility. In places like Amsterdam, Rotterdam, and The Hague, local governments must manage drainage systems, sewer networks, emergency plans, and climate-ready public spaces. Parks, canals, water plazas, and green roofs are not only designed for beauty, they also help absorb rainfall and reduce flood pressure during storms. This shows how Dutch governance connects everyday city planning with national survival. Expert agencies help support these decisions. Rijkswaterstaat manages major waterways, highways, and key flood defenses. Deltares provides scientific research on water, soil, climate risks, and engineering solutions. Together, these groups give policymakers the data they need to make smart decisions before disasters happen. Public participation is another important part of the Dutch model. Residents, businesses, farmers, engineers, and local leaders are often included in planning discussions. This keeps communities informed and prepared, It also builds trust because people understand that water safety is not someone else's problem. It is a shared national duty. Strict inspection systems make this governance even stronger. Dikes, barriers, pumps, and waterways are regularly checked against legal safety standards. When weaknesses are found, repairs and upgrades are planned quickly. This constant monitoring helps prevent small problems from becoming national emergencies. The Netherlands also works closely with other countries, especially on rivers like the Rhine and Meuse, where water flows across borders. Flood control cannot stop at a national boundary, so cooperation with neighbors is essential. In the end, Dutch water governance is a powerful example of discipline and cooperation. Engineering keeps the water back, but governance keeps the entire system working. With governance in place to uphold safety and innovation, the Netherlands looks toward a future where technology and policy evolve hand in hand to meet water's next challenges. The future of Dutch water defense. The Netherlands faces an uncertain future where rising seas and changing weather patterns will challenge even its most advanced water defenses. To stay ahead, Dutch engineers and policymakers are investing in cutting-edge research and experimental infrastructure that can adapt to evolving threats. Rather than relying solely on hard barriers, the future of flood protection blends technology, ecology, and flexible design. One promising approach is the development of smart dikes. These incorporate sensors embedded within walls and levees to constantly monitor pressure, moisture, and structural integrity. By detecting weaknesses early, authorities can react before a failure occurs, turning flood defense into a proactive, data-driven system. This real-time monitoring revolutionizes maintenance and increases public safety. Floating neighborhoods and buildings also offer novel solutions. As some land becomes increasingly vulnerable, architects design homes and communities that rise and fall with water levels. These projects are already underway in places like Amsterdam and Maasbommel, proving that living with water rather than against it is a viable path forward. Nature-based solutions are gaining traction too. Restoring wetlands, dunes, and salt marshes serves as a natural buffer that absorbs storm surges and reduces wave energy. These ecosystems offer resilience while supporting biodiversity, creating win-win scenarios that benefit both people and the environment. The Dutch integrate these green defenses with traditional engineering for layered protection. Climate adaptation plans put a pretty strong emphasis on flexibility, like infrastructure that can be upgraded or altered later on as the situation shifts. This adaptive delta model kind of accepts uncertainty, but it still prepares communities to respond quickly. In practice, it moves attention away from fixed, permanent structures toward systems that are meant to keep evolving over the coming decades. Digital modeling and artificial intelligence also end up fueling a lot of the progress. There are complex simulations that can help predict flood scenarios and then fine-tune water management strategies. With these tools, decision-making gets stronger at both the local and national levels, so resources can go where the risks are most critical, with a level of precision that would be harder to reach otherwise. Collaboration with international partners remains vital. The Netherlands exports its expertise while still learning from other flood-prone regions, so innovation keeps growing through shared knowledge. Cross-border river basin management keeps expanding too, showing how connected water challenges are, even when they cross national borders. At the same time, investments in public education and community engagement help resilience because they empower citizens in a direct way. Programs teach flood preparedness, water conservation, and emergency response, and they kind of sink water awareness into our everyday routines. That culture of readiness works as a backbone alongside the technological solutions. Ultimately, the future of Dutch water defense reflects a deep respect for water's power mixed with human creativity and cooperation. It reads like a transformation story, from fighting floods to learning how to live with water. So the Netherlands doesn't just survive, but thrives for generations to come. Even future defenses may need to be raised, redesigned, or expanded as the sea keeps testing every system built to hold it back. The Netherlands' success in living below sea level is a testament to human innovation meeting environmental challenges with determination and wisdom. Through history, engineering, governance, and vision, it has turned vulnerability into strength. If you enjoyed exploring this remarkable story, Please like and subscribe for more fascinating insights into how our world adapts and thrives. Then continue your journey by watching the next video now appearing on your screen, where we uncover another extraordinary place that overcame nature's greatest challenges unexpectedly.